she desperately needs. Cotton's bushy white brows beetled into a single line of consternation.
Mr. Belmont, maybe? Or his boys? Boys at that age would consider this a lark. Charles is the friendly sort when he's not on the job.
Charles was an ovine hedonist. I'm not accusing the Belmonts of wayward charity, Mr. Cotton. Those brows shot up, and before Cotton could interrupt, Jack continued his theorizing. He'd learned, serving in India, that if senior officers were spared having to comment on a report prematurely, matters came to a more sensible conclusion.
You know Hattie's circumstances would deteriorate if she couldn't replace the ram who died over the summer, Jack said. You know she can't afford to go a year without a crop of lambs. Rather than affront her dignity with outright charity, somebody with a kind heart concocted this scheme to spare her pride and put her situation to rights. Vicar will likely be impressed with that person's ingenuity. Vicar had become so weary of the feud between Mortimer Cotton and Hattie Hennessey that he'd taken to preaching successive sermons on the Good Samaritan. Cotton's backside graced the church pews regularly. His coin was less frequently seen in the poor box. You think I arranged this, Sir Jack?
Well, no, Jack thought no such thing, but needs must when the magistrate was at his wits' end.
Such a scheme has your stamp, Cotton, your sense of practicality and dispatch. But if we remain here much longer, congratulating you on your Christian virtues, Hattie will get out her pitchfork and chase that ram from the premises. She'll not abuse my Charles when he's spent from his labours. I won't have it. Charles can't know which ewe belongs to which farm.
To Charles, every ewe belonged to him alone for the span of a few minutes. Jack had known many an officer in His Majesty's army who'd taken a similar view of amatory pursuits.
I can probably talk Hattie into allowing Charles to recover here for a day or two, Jack said. I wouldn't want anybody to say that such a fine animal was overtaxed by a small herd.
In those 2 days, Charles would finish the job he'd started, likely finish it several times over.
My Charlie? Overtaxed? We're agreed, then. If I can talk Hattie around, Charles will rest from his labours, say until Thursday, at which point I'll get him home to you. If you leave now in a fit of indignation, Hattie will be none the wiser regarding your generosity.
Cotton peered at Jack, as if the word generosity was among the French phrases tossed about the quality at fancy dress balls. To Mortimer Cotton, generosity was doubtless another word for foolishness, but he had as much pride as the next man. Jack could almost hear Cotton quoting Vicar's pious admonitions at the next darts tournament.
"You've found me out, Sir Jack," Cotton said, kicking at the dirt. "You'll not breathe a word to anybody. Hattie Hennessey is prouder than any Christian ought to be."
"Oh, right."
"You may rely on my discretion, Cotton. The plight of poor widows should concern more people in this shire, and I commend you for taking note of that." "My sentiments exactly. I'll be on my way now, and trust to your, discretion."
Cotton bowed smartly and marched off across the barnyard, sparing Hattie the barest tip of his hat. Hattie watched him go, her faded blue gaze considering.
"It's well you sent that bag of wind from my property, Sir Jack, but he forgot to take his rutting tup with him."
"Rutting is what tups do, Hattie. What Jack hadn't done for far too long, come to that." One of the ewes wandered over to sniff at Charles's recumbent form. Charles rallied enough to touch noses with his caller, then lay back in the straw with a great masculine sigh. The ewe curled down next to him and began chewing her cud.
"Eloise," Hattie said, shaking a finger at the ewe, "you are a strumpet. Come spring I'll expect twins from you, my girl."
Charles was known for siring twins, and even the occasional batch of triplets.
"Hattie, I must impose on your good offices," Jack said, "for my shepherd won't be available to transport Charles home until Thursday. I went so far as to assure Cotton you'd not charge him board for the ram, nor bring a complaint for failure to properly fence his stock."
Hattie twitched another piece of straw from Jack's sleeve.
"Getting airs above your station, Sir Jack, speaking on my behalf to that buffoon."
Jack's station